All right, we got to talk about this because this is serious. So, the Bills and the Dolphins are playing on Thursday Night Football. In fact, they're still playing right now. Obviously, the Bills are blowing out the Dolphins. They're going to get the win. But I could care less about that because we need to talk about Tua. I'm not here to talk about his performance. I'm not here to talk about how he's played tonight. I could care less about that too. What we need to discuss is about Tua's health and more so what may happen as a result of some of the things he has suffered so early in his career. So, Tua in the third quarter, the Dolphins are down 21 points. They're at the goal line. They're in the red zone. It's a fourth down play. Tua is looking for somebody. No one's open. There's a hole. He takes off, picks up the first down. He doesn't slide. Damar Hamlin's right there to make the tackle. But as the tackle's happening, Tua gets hit in his head, and then he falls to the turf. And I believe he also hit his head on the turf as well. It was a bit of a bad hit. Perfectly legal hit, obviously, but it was a bit of a bad hit for him because it was a hit on his head. He falls to the ground, and he's down for quite some time. They got to get the medical team out there to take a look at him. He was down for a while, but eventually he was able to get up. And from there, they led him back to the locker room to evaluate him. And the report just came out about 5 minutes ago. Tua has suffered a concussion. So obviously he's out for the rest of this game, and I doubt he would play next week. But this needs to be said. Tua may not want to hear it, but early retirement has become a very possible reality for this guy. Early retirement is officially on the table for Tua because this is a situation where his life is now on the line. Tua's had an extensive injury history, but one thing that we've seen since he's been in the league has been the concussions. He has a history with concussions. Everybody remembers him suffering a concussion against the Bills. We clearly saw signs of a concussion, but they said he didn't have a concussion. They didn't put him on the protocol. And then he ended up playing in that Cincinnati game 2 years ago where he would suffer a concussion, but it would be more than that. We would see his fingers freeze up, and it was clear with that there was some level of brain damage that he just suffered. He had to be carried out in a stretcher. It was one of the worst scenes you can ever see for any player. You never want to see a player, never want to see a person just in general just be down like that. So he suffered that injury. He's had a history with concussions. And now here we are again with Tua suffering yet another concussion. He takes another hit to the head that keeps him down for some time. They have to come assist him. And now he has another concussion, which obviously is going to keep him out for some time. But this is more than just playing. This is more than just football. At this point with Tua, this is about his life. This is about his future. This is about his health. He has a history with these concussions. We've seen the very worst of it with Tua in terms of what he could deal with. We've seen the very worst of the type of damage that he has taken to the head. We've seen it. And it's a sport that you're going to take hits. A lot of times it could be to the head. It's a dangerous sport after all. But for this guy to be this early in his career and to suffer the amount of concussions he has suffered, that's dangerous, man. That's really dangerous. And Tua may not want to hear this. But with him suffering this many concussions this early into his career, he might have to consider retirement. Someone may bring that up to him. It might be a conversation he has with his doctor, the medical team, his family, who knows. It may be a decision he may have to come to terms to. But early retirement is a very possible reality for Tua because his health is at risk at this point. He has taken way too many hits to the head. He's suffered so many concussions now. At this point, he cannot continue to put his life at risk by continuing to take these same blows to the head. When you've suffered the amount of concussions he's suffered this early in his career, that's problematic. We've seen him literally get his head slam on the turf and his body freeze up and his fingers freeze up. It was the scariest sight you could ever see for somebody when it comes to suffering a concussion. He has already gone through that. He has suffered multiple concussions in his career. And now here he is again suffering another one. And this one looked bad because he was down as well. This is a problem. He cannot continue to take hits to his head. It's going to hurt him in the long run. This is putting his life at risk. This is putting his health at risk. This is putting his future at risk. Now, Tua, at the end of the day, ultimately will have to make that choice. But the possibility of early retirement being suggested to him, it's a reality. His doctors at some point are going to continue to talk to him and say, you've taken a lot of hits to the head. You have a bunch of concussions. You cannot continue to deal with this. And if that means you have to retire in order to preserve your health and your life, you're going to have to do it. Now, of course, Tua, as a competitor, he's not going to want that. Tua's not going to want to retire right now. He's a competitor. He's a football player. He wants to play. He wants to help his team win a championship. We know all that. But this goes beyond the football field. And you cannot continue to put yourself at risk the way Tua's putting himself at risk. With his history of concussions, to suffer another one right now, that is an issue. This is his life on the line. This is his health on the line. This is his future on the line. He cannot risk it to continue to play football because as long as he plays this sport, he's going to continue to take hits. And some of those hits are going to be to his head. Whether it's him getting hit by a defender or him slamming his head on the turf when he gets sacked. He's going to continue to take these type of hits. And there's nothing you can do about it. So, Tua, it's going to come a time very soon where you're going to have to make that decision. The situation is starting to get dire. Your health is starting to be at risk because of these head injuries. And you're going to have to make that tough decision. And it's not something you're going to want to deal with. Nobody, no competitor wants to have an early retirement. No competitor wants that. No professional athlete, no competitor. Nobody wants to have an early retirement. These guys fight to try to win. They want to win at the highest level. And I know Tua's a competitor, and I know Tua wants to win, and he wants to help the Dolphins do something they haven't done in a long time, and that's win a Super Bowl championship. I know he wants to do that. But he cannot put his life, his health, his future at risk to continue to play this game, knowing the amount of damage he's already taken, the amount of hits he's already taken to his head, the amount of concussions he's already suffered. It's a very, very tough and brutal reality, but it's a very, very likely reality for Tua. And it's very possible, it's highly possible, in fact, that early retirement could end up being his fate. And that might just have to be the case because that will ultimately save his life, preserve his future, preserve his health. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation. And Tua, it's going to be tough for him to deal with this. I don't know what Tua's going to do. Obviously, suffering another concussion. Tua, as a competitor, he's going to go through protocol, make sure he's fine, and he's going to want to be back on that football field. But somebody is going to have to talk to him about this situation and let him know that he's putting himself at a huge risk to continue to play this game with the amount of head injuries he's already suffered. This is life or death at this point. He's putting his life on the line. He's risking his health in his future if he continues to play football. So it's very likely this guy is going to have an early retirement. But at the end of the day, it's Tua's call, and he's going to have to make that decision. I just feel with everything we're seeing from him this early on in his career, somebody is going to get in his ear and say he's going to have to step down. He's going to have to retire for the sake of his future. And that might have to be the right choice. You can't keep taking these type of hits to it. You seriously can't. Anyway, that's all I wanted to speak about. It's another unfortunate situation. I've watched a lot of games where Tua has taken some serious hits, and I've seen the worst of the worst with these concussions. I've been watching some of the games that Tua has played in where he has suffered those concussions, and it's just been brutal to see. But at the end of the day, it will be Tua's call. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all we had to discuss here. Prayers up for Tua. Hopefully, everything's okay with him. There, suffering another concussion, obviously, with his history, could lead to further damage. So hopefully he is okay. Hopefully it's fine, and ultimately he's gonna have to make a decision about his career and his life. So it's up to him. With that being said, that's all I got. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to stay safe and peace out.